Okay? Because you have to look at history. You have to use your mind. What is going to be happening? There is going to be a board that's going to be making decisions about your and my healthcare and healthcare for our families. And if you believe that they're going to be totally neutral as to policy, I don't know what planet you're on. Because that's not how history works. That's not how people who want power work. And I think that our American history will back me up on that. But then finally, so ObamaCare is a financial issue. It's going to cost our states exorbitant amounts of money. Supposedly for the first 3 years, the federal government will cover all costs. What's going to happen after 3 years? Okay, it's a carrot in front of the horse. The horse goes toward the carrot, eats the carrot, and where is he? He's trapped now. He's under bondage. He has to. He's harnessed up. Okay. So ObamaCare is a financial issue. It's a freedom issue. And there's so much more I can say on the freedom issue, but there's not time. But ObamaCare is a final issue. And the reason I say that is it will make American citizens dependent upon the federal government. Not just the 47%. Not just some people who don't pay taxes. Not just, the person down the corner who's getting unemployment. We're talking about the entire American population, because the entire American population will be required to buy insurance that will be federally regulated. So everybody who is a U.S. citizen is going to be dependent on the government. That makes the entire argument for freedom almost foreign to no matter who you talk to. If somebody is buying into federal insurance, then they are not going to be able to understand the argument for liberty. So that is why I say it's a final issue. Okay, so it destroys our families. It makes everybody dependent on the federal bureaucracy. It totally wipes out our financial future in this country. That's why I believe this is our last shot at stopping federal tyranny.
Yeah, 2014.
So, and that's correct. It's 2014.
Yep.
That's not too far away. That's about what, a year? Until 2014, right? That's not far.
What about 2014?
That is the date that ObamaCare will be fully implemented.
Yep.
All the provisions will begin. So that's why this is such a crucial issue for me, and this is why it's such a crucial issue for many Americans and many people in our state right now. So what is it that we can do? Well, nullification is pretty much the last option. It's gone to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has declared it constitutional based on John Roberts' view that he could change around the wording of the law. We didn't elect Mitt Romney. I don't know how many of y'all, I wasn't in support of Mitt Romney, but we didn't throw out Obama. None of these things have worked. Can't repeal it, right? Can't repeal Obamacare. So what is the last thing? Obamacare nullification.
10th Amendment.
And this is something that has been used down through history as a last resort against oppression, against federal incursion upon the principles of the Constitution. Let's go through a few ways that nullification has been used. Of course, we mentioned the Alien and Sedition Acts. The Alien and Sedition Acts, 1798, that was the first articulation of nullification. Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, they clearly stated, Thomas Jefferson stated, the states are duty-bound to resist the unconstitutional actions of the government. And when he says government, he means he's talking the federal government. States are duty-bound to resist. That doesn't just mean we have a right as states. That means we have a duty as the state of South Carolina. Let me briefly introduce the idea of nullification, why this is what I believe a viable constitutional theory. Nullification is based on the idea that the states created the federal government, not the federal government the states. Okay, let me repeat that. Nullification is based on the idea that the states, the group of states, created the federal government, and the federal government did not create the states. The states existed prior to the federal government. So, if that's the case, how did the federal government create them?
That's right.
Yet that's prevailing legal theory, right? The federal government is the one that's superior. It's the one that is the authority. Now, the states are, every state, they came together when the Declaration of Independence was declared, and there was actually states, including South Carolina, that declared themselves to be independent states before the Declaration of Independence. Okay? The Declaration of Independence was just kind of a unanimous, that's what it's called, unanimous declaration. It was just kind of a unifying collective voice. But it was not the thing that created the states. There were already states that had declared themselves independent and had formed governments. So anyway, so when the Constitution was ratified, that was a compact between the 13 states and between any other states that would then form on with the Union. And as a compact, it was an agreement between parties. If everybody in this room said, okay, we're going to form a compact, we're going to have a constitution for this compact, and we're going to compact to employ, what's your name? Jeremy. Okay, we're going to compact to employ Jeremy. Okay? And Jeremy says, oh, okay, great. So now Jeremy is our employee, and he's serving us, and we'll employ you to be the waiter today, okay? So we're going to go through, fill up our drinks and stuff, and we'll each donate $1. And you'll fill up our drinks and stuff for the day, okay? Now what if Jeremy starts to go around and throw the cups in our faces? And be like, and dances on the tables, and oh, but I have a right to do this because I'm employed, right, by the contract. And the contract doesn't say anything about who's going to actually interpret the contract. Would that mean that Jeremy now has the right to just continue to do that, and you have to keep paying him all your $1 for the rest of your lives?
You are my drinking slaves.
There you go. Or does it mean that the people who agreed to the contract, each individual here in this room has the right to say, no, I will not. I will withhold my money, and I will resist your actions, and I will not allow you to throw the water in my face. Okay, and that's what we're doing with the federal government. The federal government is our employee as a collective body of 50 states. The federal government acts for national defense. It acts for trade and these other constitutional options. And it is not something that can do whatever it wants. It would be like telling a serial killer that he has the right to determine how many more people he has the right to murder. If that's what it's like to tell the federal government, oh, you can determine what your own power is. And that's what is happening with people that say, well, the Supreme Court has to decide these things. The Supreme Court is part of the federal government. The Supreme Court is a branch of the federal power. And so to say, oh, well, the Supreme Court ruled X, Y, Z. Cooper v. Aaron, I think, is one of the cases that said, oh, nullification is not allowed. The Supreme Court is not the final voice. The Constitution never says who is going to be the final voice. And here's the most important point. The 10th Amendment states, all powers not delegated to the United States in this Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. What does the word respectively mean? It means each individual state. It doesn't mean the majority of states have to vote on this and figure it out. It means each individual state reserves any right that was not given to the federal government. The right to interpret the Constitution was not given in the Constitution to the federal government. Therefore, it is the right and the duty of every individual state to make the interpretation of the Constitution and to resist the federal actions which are unconstitutional. Now, what does that mean for South Carolina? That means we need to follow in the footsteps of